What do I owe you? What do you owe me? This is the point of this vid. I'm just joking. I'm trying to make a joke. This is Austin Bradley here once again, doing a quick analyzation on Sandel's chapter 9 text. What do we owe one another? The dilemmas of loyalty. On our individual identities, which we all go through and declare, do we have a abstract ideal or a narrative ideal of ourselves? The answer, I believe, is we have both, but only for a limited time for abstract ideals. The abstract ideal mode of identity is from the time that we are born up until we get into grade school. We take great interest in knowing about who we are, what our background is, a family, friends, any kind of educational or intellectual interest that we embark on. We learn from those things and people to make ourselves who we are. We go through that abstract ideal for just a little window of time. And once we do know and declare about what we take interest in and who we love, appreciate in our lives, then we go through the narrative sequence of ideals to group things together about what we appreciate and who we appreciate from once we declare ourselves interested in getting that narrative identity established. For me, ever since I was in elementary school and learned to read, I had a great interest in American history and a little bit of the law down the road. I know that my family, we're of some Indian or Native American ancestry as well as English descent. I take great pride in that. I also take great pride in knowing about what my career plans are, what will I be interested in down the road once I graduate from college, like I knew my plans once I graduated from high school. Of course, it took a little time for me. I haven't got started in college until I was just about 21. So it took a little time because I had some situations right off and I just couldn't get to go. But I did pursue that, and here I am now, and I'm staying with it. We have that abstract identity just to have a check of what we want to do as young people. And once we have that check going of what we want to do and who we belong and what we belong, then we have that narrative identity established. The narrative identity, once the narrative identity for us is established, I believe that group-based obligations come logically afterwards. I believe that a little bit because we have, from the time that we acknowledge what we are interested in and who we are, take great pride in aspect in knowing what we know. We have family obligations. We have social obligations of friends from school or work down the road, and also our church friends, if for those who are pious. It's very great to have those groups established in one's life to make an obligation to help if one so chooses to do so. Individuality is very important for each person living in this world. If you don't have your own set ways and values of achieving what you need to do, then what's the point of living life after all? So helping with group obligations, once you're set on what you are and what are your goals and plans and what you're working on in life is established. If you do want to help out with groups which are important to you, like your family, friends, so forth, that's great. That's important to help, and we all are obligated at one time or another to always help out those who we are close to and appreciate in our lives. It would be crazy not to. And it would be hard to live a life where we just ignore all of what is outside this world. It would be hard to be like a caveman, for example, and stay in a cave and ignore what's going on around you. That's very hard to do, and it would be deplorable to do so. At one time or another, we will eventually have to have family, friends, so forth, to acknowledge and to appreciate if one so desires to do so. It's just one's personal preference in choosing to do so, however. It cannot be enforced, but it would be well appreciated, I would say, for most who take pride in their family and friends and co-workers and stuff and so forth. And I believe that's what lies with patriotism. I know Sandel, he has mixed reviews about being patriotic and taking great pride in one's own country, nationalism. However, it's great to help our fellow friends, brothers, and sisters in this great country. Great to do that. It's important to look over our self-interest because nobody else will. And especially with scenarios that have been going on overseas with terrorism and stuff like that, we all have to help each other and protect each other during times of distress and duress. But we have to look over what we have first here at home before we try to do anything else of aid or service overseas. It's great. It is always that great option to help those who need it beyond within our citizenry here. It's just a matter of doing so at appropriate time once everything wells here. And I believe that we achieve helping past generations of injustices if we so choose to do so. I do not like the context where, say, for example, where we couldn't recompensate slaves and African Americans who have been slaves over a century and a half, 2 centuries past, cannot help them with some kind of compensation or something like that. Of course, we have. It's taking a little bit more time with guaranteed rights and freedoms, and of course with affirmative action, that's another one for them. I believe we could do more if we want to. And I believe each generation has a chance to help others of past who have been in some kind of hardship or wrongdoing. It's hard to turn what's done is done in history, and we try to learn from our bad mistakes. And to ignore that fact by not helping our current generation out a little bit, and let them be reassured that we are there for them and not against them, especially with racial problems in law enforcement. It's great to help African Americans out on trying to be further appreciated on things here in America. It's just a little bit hard, though, to try to, what I should say, getting the majority to get on board about getting further recognition and help. I don't like the readings about Rawls and Kant where it's just not, well, I don't know if it's wrong. I don't like the fact that they're, just because, well, I'm not a slave owner or anything like that. Well, of course we're not, and I'm glad that we're not. That's over with. But to try to avoid what was going on in the past, and for us in the current generation and future generations down the road not to somewhat contribute and give back if we want to, that's a little bit far-fetched. So I believe that we all can play a part if we so do choose. And I think libertarianism, for freedom to choose, I think I could stand for this, and as well as for utilitarianism, trying to do good for the greatest number. African Americans, they're just about close to us on the number. we could help him out and give thanks to him more if we so choose. But it's just up to how the leaders in Congress and how many people throughout can appreciate, and as well as Native Americans. We don't really acknowledge them on things. Us white settlers, have done problems with them in the past, and we haven't really gave them a fair chance. So a lot of injustices can be corrected. I like the show Quantum Leap, where Sam Beckett gets into these bodies of people who need to get certain wrongs that they've had to deal with in their past corrected. I think it could be done with this generation if all so perceives in doing so. But I think we go through one phase or another about identity. It's just a matter of being individual. So I appreciate you all watching this video, and I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving Eve. And even though it'll be pretty weather, better have that jacket in handy, probably for going out, because I will say, before you have the turkey on, it may be having some chili with or without beans. It just depends on whether you want crackers or not, and which kind of brand you would want for chili. So I hope this information finds everyone well. Have a good day or evening.